DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons are beefing, and it's pretty out in the public. One thing to beef or have some words or saying stuff, but ever since Lawrence left to Seattle? Where'd he go?
Yeah,
Seattle. He went to Seattle, and Micah Parsons called him a clown or whatever. Rob G, fill us in because it took another step on this thing.
Well, you mentioned it there. DeMarcus Lawrence had been a lifelong Cowboy. He grew up in the area, so him playing for the Dallas Cowboys was a big deal. And he wanted to re-sign this offseason. According to multiple reports, they didn't even offer him an extension. They'd rather eat the dead cap than bring him back this season. That's how they felt about him towards the end. They thought that his injuries had gotten to a point where he was no longer valuable enough on the field to offset the leadership that he does provide off the field. So he spoke to a Seahawks blogger, one of those video podcasts that they do, about his decision to leave Dallas and join Seattle. And here's what DeMarcus Lawrence said.
Change of scenery is always good, but Dallas is my home. Made my home there. My family lives there. Forever going to be there, but I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there.
Ouch.
So when that went viral last night, right as this show was ending, Micah Parsons, as he's been known to do, went on Twitter, fired back, saying, quote, "This what rejection and envy look like. This some clown blank." DeMarcus Lawrence, because he had time and now he lives on the West Coast, so it was early for him, came right back on Twitter with a tweet of his own saying, quote, "Calling me a clown won't change the fact that I told the truth. Maybe if you spent less time tweeting, more time winning, I would not have left."
And you know what? Thank goodness for DeMarcus Lawrence, really, because he just hit it right on the head, Kelvin, and we've talked about it. People can do whatever they want in their spare time in the offseason or whatever, but the Cowboys' defense hasn't been good enough, and we've seen what an embarrassing year it was, especially early on where they were giving up a 40-piece of chicken every week, including that playoff loss to Green Bay. And Micah Parsons should be, at one point, people were talking about him in the same vein as a Lawrence Taylor. And I think that was way premature. I get it. He got off to a great start. But he hasn't been close to Lawrence Taylor. The closest might be walking by him at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? When we were in New Orleans.
We saw him, yeah.
That's about as close as he is to Lawrence Taylor at this point. And it was bad. And he's done nothing more than to antagonize other players, insult his own teammates, all kinds of stuff that to me just doesn't feel good as far as having a guy be a leader or somebody there. It just seems like he's all worried about the future and life after football rather than just digging in and putting up, and doing your best 10 or 12 years or whatever and going all at it. And then from there, if you make an impact as a player and you have a personality, you'll have an opportunity. It's just that I don't understand why it's now. And Lawrence isn't the only one. There were other players who privately said stuff about him doing all the other stuff. This is not a one guy. People know your work habits, that your teammates, they know who works hard, who's skating, who's not locked in. And I think that's where Micah Parsons is. I said it before. We need to change the name of his podcast to Turn Off His Micah, because that's what needs to happen in Dallas if this guy really wants to live up to his potential.
It's disappointing. It really is. This dude, DeMarcus Lawrence, gave his all to an organization, and obviously he was paid, so it was a fair exchange. But he's moving on, and it's his right to tell his story. It's his right to share why he wants to leave. It's his right, by the way, Rob, to spit facts. And he ain't winning a Super Bowl in Dallas. You know why? They ain't won a Super Bowl in almost 30 years, okay?
They haven't been to an NFC
They
championship
haven't gone to
game.
an NFC championship in 29 years. You know they're the only team that have two dudes go 0-3 in divisional rounds? That would be Tony Romo, and that would be Dak Prescott. So don't get mad at DeMarcus Lawrence for spitting facts. Micah Parsons, also, keep my name and what I got going on out your mouth. He said, hey, I always love Dallas, so I'll always be home, but I wasn't going to win a Super Bowl there. He didn't say, by the way, I don't like Micah, and the defense is trash, and he ain't a star.
Or Dak Prescott is a bum.
Exactly.
Right, he didn't say that.
So, and then to call the man a clown is wild. See, that's where it gets. If he say, "Hey, man, don't worry about us. We're gonna be good without you." All right, that would be already pushing it down. But to call somebody a clown, not text messages where y'all had some personal beef, but to put it out there on the internet, I think that's very disrespectful, and I don't respect somebody who's doing that for a man who didn't say anything to you. And at this point, Micah Parsons is becoming more known for defending his tweets and defending his podcast than he is defensively on the field. Micah Parsons is more known for that. He's more known for backpedaling and having to backtrack and say different things online and podcasts and social media than his own defensive stance and backpedaling on the defensive side of the ball. Like, I'm disappointed, again, in what he's become is more of a distraction and more of the teenagers who gossip or the teenagers who get into trouble all the time online. That's what he's become. And it's a disappointment because of how great he is. He is a great player. And we should be talking about his prowess on the field, not his prowess with his Twitter fingers.
Matter of fact, even Lawrence Taylor did say something about it, if I remember correctly.
He said, Lawrence Taylor said
Lawrence Taylor.
He said less of the podcasting, more of the footballing. So this is just getting odd when a young man has chosen to become and put his nose in every conversation. And I'm going to say this again for those young people who may be listening to The Odd Couple. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So, yes, you can have a podcast. Yes, you could have responded to DeMarcus Lawrence's, his comments. Yes, you can talk about the top 10 quarterbacks. Oh, by the way, you might want to put yours in there. And, yes, you can have your own open discussions about your own negotiations publicly about your own, but you shouldn't. And that would be something I would tell Micah Parsons. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And I do want to say that, you talked about calling somebody a clown. A lot of people wonder why they get blocked on my Twitter, and it's real simple. When you get into name calling, you get blocked. So if you right away, it's my Twitter, and I'll block if I want to. Block if I want to. Block if I want to. You would block too if they tried to dish you. It's real simple. So you start with any kind of names. If you want to talk about the topic,
calling them a clown,
or debate me, right, and disagree, but you have a take, I'll go with that. But as soon as you start the name calling, you get blocked immediately.
I just can't believe he jumped in another man's business. Like he literally did not mention him at all. All he said was, "Hey, I love Dallas. Dallas is home. From there, love it."
As if he owns the Cowboys. Did Jerry Jones chime in? Like what made you feel like you needed to chime in on that?
And again, D. Lawrence ain't spitting nothing but facts, Rob. Nothing but facts. And if you felt that type of way, Michael, then you rally up the team and y'all shut everybody up on Sundays and in the postseason.